If we're going to sell a higher end, luxury oriented item, a work of art under our feet, right? It really is about, especially in a tight market where people are very economically focused, it is absolutely going to be about being consultative. There are 5 key steps that those of you who manage sales teams and those of you who are in the sales process yourself that I want to lift up for you here this morning as we work through thinking about how to do this more effectively. 5 things, I'll talk about them each individually here in just a moment, but let me just quickly review the 5. First of all, understand that customer's environment, where they're coming from. We've already alluded to it a little bit. Everybody is hearing of, well, you can get that cheaper. You can get that cheaper. There's a way to get that cheaper. I looked on the internet. Right, to the comment that was made over here. No question about it as we play that out. So what's the environment that they're dealing in? Secondly, what truly are their felt needs? And I think this is one we're going to spend a little bit of time on because quite honestly, this is where the professional seller, in my opinion, makes their biggest single error. They truly don't find out. Rather, they make some assumptions about what people want and need. And that's one that we just got to absolutely avoid. Suggest and evaluate potential solutions. There are a lot of alternatives. Not everybody is going to make a tile rug so that they have something that looks like a rug in their house, right? But it's critical to know on the front side what's important to them and what's critical to them, what kind of feel that they're looking for, what kind of lifestyle they have before we make that judgment. Because if we assume that they don't want to do that, we just cut ourselves out of a lot of dollars and a lot of profit and, more importantly, a long-term customer. And that's what we all want in this room, right? 4th one, help them choose the best solution. And then obviously 5, support it. What happens after the sale? And it's true, I don't care if you're selling to manufacturers. Doesn't matter. Selling to retailers, selling to individual consumers, those steps are absolutely critical if we're going to be consultative and successful. So let me go quickly here through these, and we'll have some discussion about it. Then I got a couple of questions to ask you as we move on. Okay. So first of all, we've talked about it, right? What are the trends? What are the changes and issues? That one's pretty straightforward. That gets at that strategic question of what that we talked about earlier this morning. But again, think about what the result is. Here's why you want to do this, because that customer then tells other folks they see you as a reliable source of someone who can really help them get to where they want to go. Secondly, this is the one where we're going to stop a moment and spend a little bit more time. And that is making sure that we precisely and accurately really do determine what is important to that customer. I will tell you, in this economic time, one of the single biggest mistakes we see businesses making is they're assuming people have no money. It is absolute and utterly false. It is not true. They're just not spending it. But the moment we assume they don't have any money, guess what? You better get you a tin shed with very few people and as little as inventory as you can possibly have. Because you've just said that's the business you want to live in. Don't assume they don't have any money. It's just not true. I spend a ton of time in the agribusiness space. Single largest client that we work with on a very, very regular basis. I spend probably 20% of my total professional time with this one client. It's the Deere organization. If you ever need a business to go learn from on how to sell value, I encourage every one of you in this room to go spend time at your local Deere dealer. They don't even conceptually get why you wouldn't spend more for a green one. It doesn't even make sense to them. Well, yeah, you can buy a Kubota. I mean, I don't know why you would, but I guess you could do that. I mean, truly. I mean, to the point of cocky. I mean, actually, way over the top, some of them. They just don't get it. Why you would even do that. But you know what? Good for them. I'd love to see a few more businesses. I mean, you heard Jay say it. I hope you. I mean, you know, you had the ultimate cheerleader for the tile business in front of you this morning, right? But you know what? He's right. If you don't believe it to have its value and it's worth it, who the heck else is going to? And it's interesting when you play that out how critical it is. My only point of bringing that up here is there's only one way to know, and that is we have got to do a better job of asking questions. Frankly, folks, I'm going to say this to everybody in the room. I don't care what your title is. Doesn't matter to me at all if your name is on the letterhead. I do not care. We are awful at this. Anybody who is in the selling game, this is the one area professionally that I constantly see the biggest lacking skill set in. We are horrible as professionals in the selling business of asking questions. We make so many assumptions about where that customer is and what's important is and what they need that we often miss the opportunity to sell them what it is really going to have long-term value to their business. We are horrible at it. I constantly get asked by senior managers of businesses of all sizes, David, what's the number one lacking skill in sales teams? I spend most years between 3,000 and 7,000 salespeople directly working with them. The number one, without question, lacking skill is the ability to ask good questions and interpret what those answers are. People are horrible at it. There's lots of reasons. Well, I'll just say it for those of you that are in sales. We have lots of people raise your hand. I know you've got a quota. I'm a business owner. My guys have got quotas too. I get it. My average guy's sales calls costing us about $1,900 a call because they're flying to make those calls. They better be good. Bad economy, guess what happened to sales goals? They went up because my cost did too. I don't have a choice. Don't have the right salespeople. I'm finding ways to either train those or get new ones. But my point is we cannot let this one fade. This is critical. Now there's lots of types of questions. And we're not going to spend time here this morning going through all the various types of questions and the reason that we ask them, but I am going to ask you, nearly beg you, to think hard about in your own shops, whatever level of the industry that you're in, to think about, is our team, are the people on our team, when they're out there face to face with our customers, whomever they may be, are they really truly finding out what is driving that business and what success to that individual looks like? Do they even know? What do you want from a partner? Good question. Let me throw another way that you can ask that question. As you think about your business partners on a scale of 1 to 10, describe for me the best one you've ever worked with. And the reason I say that is it gives people a chance. You know, sometimes it's hard for people to be articulate as you'd like them to be, but they can pick a number. And let's say they pick a 9. Think about the follow-up questions, right? I'm sure you got a great reason for picking that. How did they get to be a 9? And of course, even the better question is, what would they have had to do to become a 10? Okay? It's a powerful question. And guess what? What are you looking for? Whenever you ask somebody that question, you're looking for the standard with which you're going to be judged. That's what you're looking for, right? Find out what the budget is. I think it's a great way to do it. I would certainly recommend, let me make a different comment. I'd make the comment that oftentimes people ask it way too early as sellers. I realize that you don't have a lot of time. I realize that people's time is valuable, but the moment you get that number out there, guess what? Very hard for people to go above it. Doable, but very, very hard. I see people ask that one way too early. I'll give you an example. Let's take it off our industry and go into consumables. Let's go into electronics. And you go into the Best Buy store and the 22-year-old, that would be an old guy in there, by the way, you're standing there in front of the 19 big screens. Is it about right? You got it close, right? And he comes up to you, and about the first question is maybe right after, hey, how you doing today, so what are you thinking about spending? Well, here's the only problem. Has that technology, does that change a little bit fairly regularly? I mean, I got to be honest with you. Now, I could have looked on the internet, right, and maybe done some research and all those kind of things, but gosh, if I say, well, you know, I'd like to go, I don't want to go over 1,800, unfortunately, you know what happens to me? We immediately go down here and we start looking at that 1,800 row. I might have spent $5,000 if I'd only known. But guess what? No. I happened to me the other day at an auto dealership. Well, what are you thinking about spending? Man, you know what? If you've been out of the auto buying a car for 3 or 4 years, hadn't bought a brand new one. I mean, again, you kind of watch the internet and talk to people and you like cars, all that kind of thing, but I don't know what the right number was. Well, I obviously didn't say the right one because I got to look at a crappy car. I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't want that. The guy said, well, you said, I said 50,000. I didn't want to look at that. I want to look at one of those. Oh, well, you didn't tell me that. You didn't ask. Right? And immediately I'm looking at something that's not going to, even if I bought it, tell me what would happen. I'd be upset. I'd be dissatisfied. I wouldn't be as happy as I could have been. It's amazing the number of folks that make that mistake as sellers. So I think the budget question is a good one, but I just challenge you and your sales teams, don't ask it too early. That's my only comment.